Welcome to Group Dates and Hot Takes. I'm Sampy.
I'm Christy.
Let's talk about The Bachelorette. Hello, everybody. We're back. It is one episode before the end of the season. Oh my goodness.
We're finally here.
Almost. And let me tell you, we got so excited that we had to record so early that Christy hasn't even had breakfast yet, and she's still hoarse because it's so early in the morning.
That's true.
I'm going to make you talk so much to get to work through that, okay? So, where would you like to start?
Well, we could talk about Eric and his blackface.
Oh.
It'd just be nice to go a full season without another racial scandal, but
Oh my goodness.
I'm always interested in the timing of these things. I don't know, this person waited until basically the finale to unearth a yearbook.
Yeah, it's hard to know with that stuff how organic it is versus how much it is, because what I'm assuming, because I'm not privy to all of the details beyond just, and why don't you just explain the situation for people who are not aware of?
I mean, there's not a ton to explain. It's like 11 years ago, there's a photo of him in a yearbook, and then a page or two later, there's him dressed up as, I don't even remember the name of the black person he was trying to dress up as, but
Wasn't it like Jimi Hendrix or something?
that sounds familiar, but whole face, the wig and everything. So, Reddit exploded after that.
Yeah. That's a little bit unfortunate. I think I heard something about, and this doesn't make it any better. But I thought I had seen something that it was it was maybe an event put on by the school or something where people were dressing up as famous people or something. I thought I saw that he wasn't the only one at that event who was cosplaying as a black person.
Oh, that would not surprise me at all. It's just weird that nobody at the school thought, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea. And nobody at the yearbook thought, maybe we shouldn't print this.
Yeah, you'd think that perhaps even as of a decade ago that we had learned about these things, but time moves slowly.
People were saying it's a very white town he grew up in, so I'm sure that adds to the problem.
Perhaps, though, this could get me totally canceled forever.
Oh no.
Here's a hot take for you. I don't think it's quite as bad when it's imitating a real person. It's still so monumentally stupid. But I don't know. Jimi Hendrix is somebody who existed versus just be like, oh, I'm just pretending to be a black person.
I guess I don't know enough about when people do that. I thought whenever someone does it, they are trying to imitate a person.
Oh, no. And I mean, it's possible. And I don't want to get into too much of a long-winded history lesson here, but I believe as a practice, it had its origins more in, it was sort of like a theatrical thing to paint your face. It wasn't just oh, who was it? It wasn't Ted Danson in an award show. It was more of like a caricaturizing black people in some sort of like entertainment theatrical type setting when we're talking about like the origins of blackface. Which is so fun that we get to go into that on this show. But yeah, I mean it's pretty stupid in general, but it's also kind of wild that it's like, yeah, an actual high school yearbook editor was like, yeah,
this is fine.
This is totally normal. A little weird. I guess we'll see if Eric gets called out on it on the show.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I guess the place would be after the final rose.
Yep, next week.
Next week. Oh, they're gonna do a 3-hour episode.
That's what I heard.
We may not have an episode next week because I may be dead from jumping off of a cliff. Oh, yeah, it's unfortunate to me. I mean, the incident is unfortunate, but in the larger context of things, it's just unfortunate to me that this just keeps happening in the context of the show.
Yeah, like the people are casting all of these similar backgrounds.
Right. It's just it's weird, and I don't know if there's just some sort of correlation between the types of people that want to be cast on this show and being more likely to have engaged in misbehavior.
I mean,
it's just weird to me because like as far as I'm aware, I don't know a bunch of people who've gone around in blackface or like name any of the laundry list of scandals that people have been called out for after coming onto the show. So I don't know what that says about the show, society.
I mean, there's a past contestant named James Taylor. I don't know if you saw this, but he got arrested over the weekend.
Like this weekend?
Yes, he was drunk. He had a underage girl in his car. There was an unsecured gun. He like peed on the street. Like just terrible behavior.
Well, you know, everybody has to pee on the street every once in a while. That's just kind of how it goes. I don't want to unilaterally say 90% of the people who are on the franchise are just terrible people because, you know, life be hard. Mm-hmm. And there are a number of struggles that people can go through, and people make bad decisions all the time. But it's a little weird to me. And I don't know if this is just because we always remember the big energy spikes of like, oh, X person that we're aware of did Y terrible thing. But it's a little weird. It's a little weird to think about. What is going on? Who is casting these people? And who is doing the background checks?
It's a little suspicious.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, I feel like it's probably par for the course because I don't think any casting person at ABC is going to do anywhere close to the deep dive that some like insane Redditor is going to do who just because answer this question for me. Do we actually know who like leaked this information?
No, it's just an account on Reddit. So
it is actually anonymous. Interesting. I
mean,
know.
It could have just been someone from his high school that was like,
I mean, I would assume so, yeah.
Oh, I have this.
So bizarre. Well, at this rate, I'm just expecting there to be some sort of newspaper clipping from 15 years ago. It's talking about Tino drop kicking an Asian kid or something. Like at this point, you know, what am I even supposed to expect anymore? I don't know. Anything else?
There was one other thing. Nate from Michelle's season went on Nick Vile's podcast. He revealed he dumped Michelle over the phone.
Ugh. Why?
I don't know. He tried to explain it. There was a lot going on. It turns out they were like having major arguments like the beginning of this year. So basically like just a couple of weeks after their season finished airing. So
I'm so surprised.
Things were not good with them for a while. They had like almost broken up twice already. So just some more insight into them.
Oh boy. And now they're over. Which I never saw coming. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. That's it.
Oh, wait. So we didn't do the kiss count from last week?
What? I forgot to do the kiss count?
Apparently so.
Oh,
so we need...
Wait, did an angry listener phone in letting us know?
Not angry.
Oh, just disappointed?
Maybe.
Look, I got a lot going on, okay? Man, I apologize to everyone. I am disappointed in myself. I think I was just so utterly shell-shocked by the fact that there were 89 kisses.
Dang. Is that a new record? I feel like it is.
I think so. And that's only the kisses I saw.
Yeah, just imagine if we had cameras in the fantasy suite.
Yep, not counting any kisses I did not see because they were not on air or because I blinked or was in the bathroom. No, I make sure I stick to my bathroom breaks in commercial breaks only.
Yes.
I don't want to miss anything. Well, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this episode.
Well, unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of meat.
No, not really.
We start off with Zach. I guess the cliffhanger from last week.
Right, we gotta resolve that. How I know I kind of asked you this last week, but how did you feel about all of this? Because I get where he's coming from. I do support him. I'm not a huge fan of Rachel, as people probably know by now. But he also was very he was very passionate about this. And his whole, I don't know, we left it as the camera watched them from inside the little hut or whatever they were going to do the rose ceremony in, as they stood outside as he could, so he could pour out his soul to her in private as we watched. I mean, he kind of went through a whole spiel. So
yeah, I mean, I can't really blame him because it seems like Rachel just turned on him once the cameras went away in the fantasy suite, and all of a sudden it's like she's questioning whether he's ready, and I guess we'll never know exactly, but it seems like he saw a different side of her that he hadn't seen before.
Right, and she did claim that she asked everyone if they were ready. But
yeah, but then there was the whole age thing, like he's 25, she's 26. I don't know. That was kind of dumb if that's the reason she went with, but
I don't know. It feels a little fishy to me. It feels like, this is another hot take here, but it does feel to me like at some level Rachel is being inauthentic here.
I mean, that's what Zach claimed, so
I mean, and I hate to go against a lead. You know, we're never gonna get advanced copies of episodes at this rate with me continuing to harp on on flaws here, but that's kind of been my impression across the season. In general, I'm not going to say like overall she's an inauthentic person, but I feel like through this process, I don't know, I just get the impression that she kind of has this camera persona.
Mm-hmm.
And I know to a certain extent, I'm sure like all of them have a camera persona, but it's just felt to me that maybe her camera persona is a bit more deep or involved than a lot of people's.
Yeah,
like I just get the like I have my biases here, but it doesn't feel like to me that Gabby is hugely different when the cameras are off.
Yeah. I think Rachel has more of a facade.
Excellent word. Yes, that's just...
And I felt it a lot on this episode during the live portions too.
She did not seem happy.
No.
And that is what prompted my observation that it seems like perhaps, and despite all odds, despite all blackface, that perhaps Gabby got her happy ending and that Rachel didn't, because she just seemed so pissed off the whole episode.
Yeah, every time they showed her like the camera on her down in the corner, it was just stone faced.
It's like scowling so hard. I've really struggled with Rachel because I tried so hard to like her. I really did. But I was just left this entire season wishing that they had just given Gabby the Bachelorette season that she deserved.
Yeah, I've seen that sentiment a lot on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so all that to say, I am inclined to believe Zach.
Yeah, me too.
With his description of what happened, though we will never know for sure. And she just came back from this so hard, like her whole spiel about, because of course he left.
Yes.
like there's no
can't come back from that.
There's no going to the rose ceremony after that. But yeah, she just comes back and she just launches into this spiel about, just be gosh, I can't believe that he would question my character and just all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know that he was questioning your character. He was just expressing to you how that night felt to him. And maybe if you get this huge challenge to your character from that, perhaps you might need to adjust your character a little bit.
What a novel idea.
How's that for another hot take? I'm on fire.
She also didn't even seem that bothered.
No,
that he left.
No, not at all. Not at all. Which again, I believe him.
Yeah, but it's not looking good for her.
Mm-hmm. So
then we go to the live portion where Zach comes out.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things I wanted to ask you about. And it's not even just about Zach, it's just in general. What was your impression of the conversations during the live portion? Because I felt like there was nothing there at all.
No, normally the live portions, we've gotten some good stuff before on AFR, but these were just like everybody talked in platitudes. And
I'll tell you what it felt like to me watching this. It felt like all of these people were made to sign NDAs. That's how, like, I know, like, I'm sure that didn't happen, but that's how it felt like. It's just like Rachel signed an NDA, Zach signed an NDA. Anybody like because
they didn't reveal anything
because they'd come out and it would just be like, oh man, I was really just like a jerk to you, and I'm so sorry. Like you didn't deserve that, and I wasn't intending to question your character. I was just passionate, and she's like, oh yeah, like I totally get that, and like oh we're just ships passing the night, like it's not a big deal, and like all this different stuff, and it felt so just like absolutely nothing.
I hated that he apologized to her.
Mm.
That was so frustrating to watch. I didn't think he did anything wrong, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I questioned you.
No,
She said she wasn't putting on an act.
I have a hard time believing that. I really do.
Like, we didn't really get any further info. Like, I feel like this whole episode, Jesse didn't ask the right questions. It's like you're there on live TV where nothing can be edited out. I want some tea. Like,
I mean, that's the whole reason we watch this show.
He should have been asking. So once the cameras went away, what about Rachel changed?
Yeah, what actually?
I want pointed questions.
This is where we all sit here crying that Emmanuel didn't come back. He would have been better. He would have asked the tough questions.
Yeah.
And I know that she would never accept this position, as far as I know and can tell. But Rachel Lindsay wouldn't have given him any slack either.
Oh man, what I wouldn't have given to see that.
Anything. I mean, she's the one who destroyed Chris Harrison. And that was totally unintentional.
I mean, Chris destroyed himself.
Yeah. Oh man, I did. I was right there with you. I hated this so much, because it was literally like they just sat there on the couch, like patting each other gently on the back. That's like how it felt.
It was so frustrating.
I want details. Reveal Rachel's deepest, darkest secrets. Give them to me.
So then it was time for Rachel to see her parents and the two best friends, which I think we saw last season with Clayton.
Yes, I believe so.
So it is first Avon's turn.
Which, can I just say, and this is maybe just really revealing more about my own mental state, but I could have sworn, as I was watching this, that she brought and was talking to Tino, and then walked Tino towards the house, and then it cut to Avon inside with her family. That is 100% what I thought happened.
I don't think that's true.
Well, I'm trying to explain it to you, and you're just like, are you freaking crazy?
I didn't see that.
I'm gonna have to go back when I get a minute, because I'm sure you're right, but I mean,
they might have been showing just like B-roll of Tino like preparing for the visit. I don't know.
She stood there as he got out, like, I mean, right in. I don't know. Oh, I felt like I was going insane. Anyway, let's talk about Avon.
I loved how when Avon sat down with Rachel's dad, Tony, he's like, I'm here to put you on the spot. Nobody's going to take her away from me without a fight. Oh, dear.
What? Oh, big Tony. Gotta love him. Gotta love big old Tony. Yeah, talk to me about how you felt this went, because it kind of very quickly went downhill.
I know. I thought it was going great at first, but then I guess I missed this when he first said it, but I guess Avon said his feelings are really strong. He's falling in love, but he's not ready to get engaged right now. And so I guess See, this is where things get real murky because it seemed Rachel is implying he said in the fantasy suite he was ready to get engaged. But I wonder, did she specify in the future or right now? Because he says, because like basically they go outside and argue for a long time about this.
Right, and it was pretty, well, it wasn't really contentious with her family exactly, but
No.
there was a lot of like, well, Rachel needs to be engaged at the end of this. That's what she's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was confusing to me as well because she definitely thinks that he told her that he was going to propose at the end of it. And he does not agree with that.
Yeah, see, I was very unsure because he keeps saying, like, I see a life with you. I don't have any doubts. I just want to make sure it's the right time to get engaged, which, like, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for the real world. I guess as I watched this episode, I just was struck even more as I continue to be through the season that, man, we just got a batch of super non-committal guys this season.
Yeah. Well, they also haven't spent enough time with the leads.
Well, and that's I would assume that that's part of the reason. But if you think about it, I'm pretty sure the entirety of top 6 and maybe top 8 have all said they're not ready to be engaged. Like to a person, every single one. And I mean that's what keeps getting them sent home.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, Rachel told Avon, "Don't yell at me," when he wasn't even yelling, which was annoying.
Yeah, I was a little put off by that.
It also seems like she was just embarrassed that she was telling her family one thing and Avon was telling them another, so she looks dumb. I feel like that was really the crux of why she was so angry with him.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
Because she kept being like, I wanted us to be on the same page.
Right. I mean, it seemed like she had this vision of they would walk in together and be like, oh, look, we're so wonderful and happy. And then the dad would be like, okay, Avon, let me talk to you. And they have their conversation and Avon's like, oh, I just love your daughter so much. And I am going to marry the crap out of her immediately. And then go and talk to her other family and be like, oh man, I'm so head over heels. I cannot wait to propose in 3 days. Like that, it seems like that's what she wanted.
I mean, I feel like she should have also known he wasn't at that point when he's still at the falling in love stage.
Oh boy.
He hasn't crossed over to I love you or I'm in love with you.
He hasn't crossed over to I love you land?
No.
Oh
so
no.
How can he be ready to propose if he doesn't love her yet?
Oh no. Yeah, that is true. I also didn't particularly appreciate their, because as you were talking about the whole yelling thing, because they left the cabana or whatever it was that where they met her family, and then we're out walking along a pathway, whatever, and they're having this conversation, and I on the one hand, I get some frustration from her because he was kind of repeating himself a lot, but at the same time, he wasn't actually yelling. Like he was being passionate.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like standing there yelling at her.
He didn't raise his voice at her.
No, it was just like intensity of like the words he was saying. So I don't know. I didn't particularly like that because it felt like something you say when you just don't want to deal with what the other person is saying.
Yeah,
it's like a way for that to sort of interrupt things and like get in front of them. It's like, don't be yelling at me. And then they have to, as we saw him do, go ahead and be like, oh no, I'm not trying to like come at you, and like has to backpedal and stuff. It was super weird. It took such a turn. It went so bad so quickly, and it did kind of feel like it was mainly because of her ego.
Yeah.
And I say that obviously not knowing how their fantasy suite went. And I mean, it is possible that he did make her promises or said things that implied certain things. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that had happened where people were not necessarily directly lied about something, but perhaps implied that they were further along.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember if it was this conversation or later, but at one point he said he might have gotten caught up. So maybe he just said something he didn't mean.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, we've been over this, but this is a very. I'm sure this process messes with you. Like,
yeah, you're in a bubble.
You're in a bubble, and you're in an emotional blender.
Yeah, it sounds like after the fantasy suite, he said he had time to think, and so maybe that's where
never a good thing.
The doubt. You're just sitting alone in your hotel room in Mexico while she's off with Tino or whoever.
Yeah, man, tough position to be in. I was a little surprised that she didn't send him away right now.
Well, things were a little icy between them when they parted.
Just a little bit.
So,
yeah.
We had to wait a little bit to find out the conclusion.
Because we finally, get some Gabby time. Everybody loves Gabby.
Like an hour into the episode. So look, it's time for Eric to meet her family.
Right, and I keep saying I don't mean to throw shade, and I really don't, but it probably doesn't come across that way because I say so many terribly mean things. But I would say there's a reason that Gabby is on Dancing with the Stars, and Rachel is not. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Wow. Well, can't say I disagree.
There's just a lot more charisma on the other side of the equation. But speaking of charisma, Grandpa John's back.
Everybody loves Grandpa John.
Well, that's because he's hilarious. It was probably my favorite scene from the show, with him just reacting to the complete BS of that
sound thing.
Sound therapy or whatever it was.
He's just asleep.
Yes, and look, the internet loves him, and for good reason. So talk to me about this.
This visit seemed to go well.
For now, but definitely better than Rachel's done in this episode so far.
Yeah, I mean, they at least seem to be on the same page at this point.
Yes. For now. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, it seems like her dad liked Eric.
Grandpa likes Eric. Was kind of tugging at my heartstrings when he was talking about how excited and happy Gabby's grandma would have been to be there. I was like, oh my goodness, you're gonna make me cry. So sweet. Also, the fact that so it was her dad there and her aunt as well. I was a little confused at her because I was like, wait, is that her mom? But then I was like, no, It's definitely not her mom because
There would have been a big fuss.
Gabby hates her mom. I was like, how are they sitting? Like, how is the dad and the mom sitting next to each other on the couch? And then I was like, oh, is the aunt.
Or maybe the dad's wife or something. There were two women there.
Oh, maybe that could be the case as well.
But yes,
yeah.
the aunt was definitely there too.
Yeah, and bring that up. That's real tough because she had a moment with the aunt outside and talking about not being loved by her mom.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how that would feel like. I mean, nobody has perfect parents, but to get to adulthood feeling like you are not loved by your mother has got to be very tough.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, I mean they're very much on the same page right now. I mean they can't envision life without each other. You know, Gabby keeps saying that like Eric just loves her very well, and that's part of why I hate this show. I don't actually hate it, but sometimes I hate it because if Gabby gets to the end of this and this all ends in failure and destruction, like Gabby may be permanently destroyed, which is awful to think about. And I know I'm probably not permanently destroyed, but it's like she may have to spend another decade in therapy after the show if this all goes south.
Hopefully not. I mean, hopefully it's not a disaster for her.
I mean, it's hard to imagine a world where it isn't a disaster when we're going to be subjected to a 3-hour finale and they both only have one guy.
Well,
we'll
see.
Like in this set of circumstances we have, the finale should be 20 minutes plus an hour for after the final rose. It should be half this long. It should be boom, proposal, done. Maybe add 5 minutes, 10 minutes if Neil Lane really wants a long cameo. Like this should not be a 3-hour finale. What are we even doing? I don't understand it.
It just tells you some mess is coming.
Yeah, well, we've been suspicious of Tino for a while. Wouldn't surprise me, given the previews, if he did something super heinous. You never know. But speaking of Tino, let's talk about Tino's meeting the family.
Yes.
What an effortless segue.
Well, Rachel is not in the best mood because of how things with Avon went, which of course she would let that carry over.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, what's going to go wrong?
She's just really upset that she's not gonna get to reject one of them at the altar.
Also, I thought this was really like awkward, like when they all got in and sat down and she tells Tino, do you want to tell them about our story? And then just like sits there while Tino's like, well, I rode in on a forklift.
Yeah, that was very, very awkward to watch. I don't think he was ready for that.
No, he was like, well, what do I tell them about us?
Forklift? That's all I remember.
Yeah, because there really isn't much to tell. He said they caught each other's eye really quickly. It's like, that's just super generic.
So sad.
And then he talks with her mom. And I thought it was funny that, like, the mom asks, like, about them doing things together, hobbies. And he's like, well, we'll pick up things together, implying that they don't have a lot
not
overlapping
much,
right
not
now.
Not much going on. Yeah, because I think he said something about he wasn't going to make her go surfing.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, one of the recurring themes has been the hometown with Tino's family.
Mm-hmm. So now Rachel's family is concerned about that too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, understandably so. You know,
Yeah.
he keeps claiming that, oh, they'll come around, but that doesn't always happen.
No.
Like you'd like to think if you have a family that loves their child, even if you're not, say, 100% on board with a wacky thing like ABC's The Bachelorette, that, you know, you'd kind of come around in time and all of that, but you can't, that's not something you can guarantee. Like, you hope people are reasonable, but a lot of the time, and this is this spoiler for people, I'm sure, but people are not reasonable a lot of the time. People are very unreasonable. So, especially in a weird situation like this show, it's totally possible that his dad could always just be like, no, I don't accept you.
I mean, his parents are continually throwing shade at the show on, like, Facebook each week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, in real life?
Yes.
I wonder if that's because not so much because of the hometown, but because of what happens next week, and they're still really salty about it.
Not sure, but
that is hilarious. I love it. I love it when I hear about contestants' families getting out there on the internet and causing havoc. That's always hilarious to me. Yeah, the other sort of snafu here is Tino's occupation. Because I guess, so he's in construction, but I guess it's more involved, like, he's not residential construction, it's more like
commercial
city construct. It seemed like it was on project, like, more extended projects.
Yes.
That's the impression I got, at least.
Which made make it hard for them to, like, mesh their careers together.
Right, because Rachel wants to be the jet-setting influencer, right?
Well, pilot.
Well, but she wants to do that because she wants to be an influencer.
I would assume so. I don't know. She hasn't said that, but...
Look, I assume that by default.
Yeah.
with people on this show. Now, I know she's a pilot, but, like, I feel like that's not her only dream. We can leave it at that. No, I just, and I mean, as a pilot, you can generally speaking pick up and be anywhere, but it's not that. I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's not like you're working from home as a pilot.
No.
Like, they were making this big deal about, like, he can't work from home, but she can't either.
Yeah, that might be hard to reconcile.
Which is why I'm saying, like, I feel like, yeah, the pilot thing is a big thing, but I don't think it's so much that she wants to be, like, a pilot for British Airways. Like, she's a small plane pilot who has big dreams. So, there we go.
Should we move on to Avon's last date?
Which
didn't end up being a date.
No. I I was cracking up here because when she shows up to his room, first of all, bad sign, they hugged. It's always a bad sign. You can't be going around hugging leads. You have to French them at every opportunity, otherwise you're screwed. So that was the first straw, and then when they go to sit down, he offers her champagne, and she's like, no, we should just have this conversation. Yet another death knell. Well, you wanted to talk about it, so give me the deets here.
I mean, it was kind of the same argument they had before. Like, he wants time outside of the show with her and still wants to be with her, have kids, which is wild to say.
Ugh.
But she just, like, I don't know if there was just a cut and there was more said, but it just jumps to her, like, sobbing about how we wanted to be on the same page. I was so blindsided with the meet the family thing, and it just seemed like the wrong reaction to what he was saying. It's like he still wants to fight for them. Oh, I guess this is where he said he was caught up thinking he'd be ready in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But she only wants an engagement, which I don't understand why she's so fixated on that. As opposed to, here's a guy who actually says he wants to be with you.
Because it's embarrassing if you don't get all of the promised glitzy name and lights finale that the show tells you you're gonna get. It's embarrassing.
But that makes her seem shallow, though. Well, if she's more concerned with the ring than a real relationship. She says she wasn't willing to sacrifice that. So basically, I'm not willing to sacrifice a free ring for this.
I mean, it's a couple $100,000, right?
I mean, probably.
I mean, love's all fine and good, but $200,000 ring? It's pretty swanky. I don't remember how expensive they are, but they are pretty up there. Yeah, I guess I left this situation scratching my head a bit because, like you, it is weird to think, oh, she does seem to be more about the show's ending than her own ending. Especially considering, so you look back across the seasons, the show's success rate is not very good.
Especially of late,
but just in general, the relationships tend to not last. And I would be willing to bet you that those statistics are not any better, and in fact, they could even be worse for people who have the traditional show ending versus there have been a handful of people who have not ended up engaged by the end of it, right?
Yeah, and those are the relationships that are still going at the moment, like Matt and Rachel, Clayton and Susie.
Well, there you go.
But the ones like Katie and Blake, Michelle and Nate, those are gone.
Yeah, and I mean we've touched on this before, but it's that sort of it's this situation where if you try to fit things into the cookie cutter, it doesn't necessarily work. And it kind of goes back to like maybe putting this engagement up on a pedestal at the end of it is a bad idea if we're talking about wanting people to be in long-term relationships, which I know, like, that's not the business of the show. The business of the show is to show the arc, get to the engagement. But as somebody within that, I feel like you should care more about your own story versus the arc.
Yeah, this is your life.
Right. You do want to be within that if possible, but at the end of the day, it's your freaking life. And it's not like they're going to execute you if you don't get engaged at the end of it.
Yeah, she was just so fixated on, I have to leave here engaged. And so she says she can't move forward with him.
Yeah, it's tough because, like, I get wanting to be a good lead and fit into the show and like wanting all of that stuff of the ending, but as much as I've dragged the guys for being non-committal, I mean, it's more of a unwillingness to be engaged immediately. At least for a lot of them. And in Avon's case, that's the case, for sure. You know, and you see people wanting to, and I think both of them even said, both of them talking about Avon and Tino, and actually even Eric. Like, all these people are like, I want to date you in the real world. Mm-hmm. That's like what everybody has said. And so far, that has not been good enough. I feel like that would be good enough for me, but I'm a simple guy.
I mean, it should be good enough for them, considering this is a person you've only had like 2 or 3 dates with.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough boat to be in, and I think she made the wrong call here.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that Avon is a better person than Tino.
It seemed like it. I also hated how he also apologized.
I know.
On the live show.
Goes right back to, like, you know, nothing happened. They just said vague, nice things.
It makes me wonder if either Avon or Zach were told they were going to be the Bachelor, and so they kind of have to, like, make everything nice and wrap it up in a bow and not appear still upset.
I would be so upset. I would be so upset still. I'll come and be like, "What the frick? You watch this back and you're gonna sit here and tell me, gaslight me that you didn't just totally trash me in the fantasy suites for zero reason." Like, I would have wanted to go so hard. But then maybe I wouldn't have if I was told, hey, you're top 2 or 3 for next Bachelor.
Yeah.
We'll see. That's an interesting theory.
I mean, I have no idea who the next Bachelor is, but...
No, I know, but I always enjoy hearing opinions from the expert, because you think about things in a way that I don't, and have context from your many seasons as a grizzled veteran. Sorry, I probably shouldn't describe you as grizzled. My apologies. Yeah, so let's keep this train wreck moving.
Yeah, we basically got nothing from their segment. It's just things didn't work out, not on the same page. I didn't understand what you needed. I feel like he did know she wanted to get engaged. I don't think that was
right. That wasn't an unknown. I just think perhaps that it wasn't super clear exactly what she wanted. Like, the fact that there was essentially an ultimatum there.
Oh, yeah. Perhaps. That's unfortunate.
Yes, just slightly. Man, I liked Avon. But
I feel like he would be a good bachelor.
Yeah.
Maybe a little dull, but
Wow. Wow. After I spend all this time building up this wonderful man, and you just sit there in your chair, say, yeah, it would just be a boring season.
I mean, the women would make it interesting.
Oh, unbelievable.
We just haven't seen much from him.
Exactly. We haven't gotten to see his personality at all.
No, they always edit it out.
Yeah, that is I don't even know the words that I'm saying anymore. It's been a recurring complaint.
Yes.
That this happens essentially, and I don't know how much you know about Clayton's book that he wrote, but apparently that was one of his complaints too, is that or actually, was it Clayton or was it Matt?
It was probably Matt.
Okay.
I don't think Clayton's written a book yet.
I'm
sure it's coming.
I'm sure he will. But yeah, I guess you're right. It was Matt talking about how they essentially just edited any personality out, and
which is so terrible. The audience loves when we get to see stuff like that. I don't know why they have to make it so serious.
Yeah, they basically just cut out a huge section. They're like, this range of their personality is just off limits. And then they just cut anything out like that. You know, I mean, but I do not like that. I hate that. Because the personalities, like, that's what makes a person that person. I mean, without the personality, most of these people are just, you know, the same white guy in his mid-20s.
Yeah, they end up being cliches.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying, to be perfectly honest with you, because I want that. I mean, just think back to Michelle's season, and we had that end tag where she just randomly started doing push-ups. Like, that's something that people actually like to see. That shows another dimension of her beyond just, I am the Bachelorette, I am amazing, and I am a wonderful school teacher, and I am serious, and all this stuff. Like, show those other dimensions. I mean, come on. Can you imagine how great a season this would have been if it had been Gabby as the only Bachelorette, and they had actually showed these people's personalities?
What could have been?
Oh, what could have been, we always lament. What could have been?
So the last thing is Eric's final date.
Mm-hmm. Which we had to go over an airtime just to see. An extra 16 minutes for no reason.
No,
basically.
Because I couldn't believe, like, the very last commercial break that they had, they came back and it was just a preview for next week. Like, you could have just shown that at the end of the previous segment and saved us all 5 minutes.
No.
But anyway.
No, they needed you to see those commercials. Their advertisers
so
paid
irritating.
top dollar for those couple minutes of your eyeballs.
So basically, Eric's final date boils down to her not wanting to put pressure on him, but still wanting to get engaged. And then Eric apparently saying he wanted to date her, which I didn't hear when it was airing, but that's what Gabby said after. It just seemed like there was a lot cut out from that weird, like, camera angle where they were both, like, outside on the balcony, and then she is all of a sudden inside storming off.
Yeah, also, can I just point out, they have a really weird way of freaking out together. Like, they'll be freaking out about something while also simultaneously, like, making out. Like, it'll be, like, making out oh my goodness, I really need you to propose, making out. Oh, but I can't really, like, I can't yet. I'm not there. I need to date you, making out. Like, it's weird. Have you, like...
Yeah, I know what you're saying. They seem very comfortable with each other. They also speak in hushed tones a lot.
I know, it's all she's like, wow, I have a hard time believing, because, like, in my life, when something like this happens, it's too good to be true. And, like, I would really appreciate if you'd propose to me. Just a lot of that.
It's hard to hear sometimes.
Yeah. I think that just, it's the place Gabby in particular goes to when she's talking about things that I think that she feels are more private. Like, it seems like a way for her to maintain, like, a boundary, because obviously we're gonna hear.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like in the head, perhaps, like, oh, it at least maintains that kind of illusion, so we can still talk about these things that I would have a hard time talking about.
I don't know. It doesn't entirely work for me, but
yes, as much as Christy hates subtitles, part of her is like, oh, I need subtitles now. So
we end on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, we ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. It was also a little strange to me because she was, and maybe this was just how they edited it and it wasn't quite like this, but it seemed like she was only a little bit down the hall with the producer. It seemed like he could have possibly actually been in earshot.
That's what I thought too, but it kept cutting. There was never like a continuous shot, so I couldn't tell.
These editors are sneaky, so it's hard to know. But yeah, that's tough. We're in another situation, and I feel like this is in some ways Avon Part 2.
I don't know. To me, based on how they both looked at the end of the show, Gabby still seemed happy enough.
Well, so I guess what I'm saying is, like, it's very similar in that, like, Eric doesn't want to leave the show having proposed. Like, he cares about her deeply. He wants to marry her, but he's like, I need to date you in the real world first. That's what I'm saying the similarity is. Where I think they probably diverge is I could see Gabby having the facilities to accept that.
Yeah, but Rachel can't. Yeah, I think whatever happens next week, Rachel looks so unhappy to me. It doesn't seem like a good ending for her, and Gabby still looks happy enough. So.
And maybe Gabby's just better at compartmentalizing and being in the moment for the live viewing. But yeah, I think that for Gabby, and I'm gonna be speculating like crazy here, but I at least hope that Gabby sees this as a way to move forward, even if it's maybe not the, like, quote unquote ideal of, oh, I'm getting proposed to at the end and I'm leaving here with my Neil Lane ring and we're engaged and we're so happy, like, that she can accept another outcome because she's actually able to believe that he cares about her. Because that's kind of been a theme through this show, is like, it's very hard for her to be in this position of vulnerability coming out of her childhood and how her parents interacted and how her mom treated her and all of this. And despite everything, it does seem like she believes that Eric cares about her in that way. And so what I'm hoping, and, this is based on the assumption that Eric isn't a completely horrible person. He did apologize, didn't he?
Yeah. Like the next day he posted on Instagram.
I feel like it didn't strike me as the most inauthentic apology I've ever read. I don't know what your impression of that.
It didn't strike you.
Sorry. I'm gonna just ignore that. There were a lot of negations and all that. What I was trying to say is that I thought that it was a pretty authentic apology. At least it seemed like that to me.
I mean, it was pretty standard. Some people were griping that he didn't use the word racist in it to describe his actions. So, there's that.
I guess.
I thought it was hilarious, though, that he used a black square as, like, the photo and then put it in the caption.
Well, maybe it's not intentional, but wasn't that a social media thing at one point?
Yeah, back in 2020, everyone had a black square, so
maybe he's just putting that as a way to be like, see, I'm on board.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's tough. So I get.
Also, that's got to be tough for her if they're together, having this scandal just exploding at the end of the season.
Yeah, especially if after the final rose, Jesse's like, so you guys seem super happy with being together. Gabby, how do you feel about having a boyfriend who's a racist?
They're also going to get asked about it in interviews after the show too, which is
that'll be fun. That'll be super fun. So yeah, so all that's it. I'm basing all this stuff on the assumption that overall Eric is a decent person, despite his egregious mistakes in the past, which he has now apologized for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think that Gabby has a chance. I hope she has a chance because, man, I just watched this season and that woman has been through some things, and it would be nice for her to not go through some things for once.
Yeah, I hope she's happy.
Yeah.
Do you have a kiss count for this episode?
Look, Christy's gonna remind me every time now. I've faltered. I've broken trust.
I don't know if we can come back from this.
Oh no. Yeah, well, it was a pretty uneventful episode here. We ended up with 11, pretty much exclusively just from the make-out argument between Gabby and Eric.
Yeah, not much.
Pretty low count. I'm gonna see. This is the worst part of the season. This is where I have to go back and count up all the episodes worth of kisses. Count all the way to like 15,000 or whatever it is we're at this season.
Yep. Next week we'll get a final total.
If you're lucky. If I remember, some seasons I'm sitting there on my phone, I'm counting furiously in the last couple minutes of the episode. I'm like, oh my goodness, I forgot to tally these. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Oh. It just gotta keep it in my head. Make Christy talk about something else for a little bit. Just until I can do the count. No, I do try to get it prepared ahead of time. Christy, how can people get in contact with us?
You can email us at groupdatespod@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at groupdatespodcast.
Mm-hmm. You still live tweeting?
Yeah.
Posting. Look, she finds some funny things. Let me tell you, she is way better at social media than I am. That is for sure. Yeah, and as I like to say now, you can also find us on YouTube. Ooh, wow, so cool. Yeah, so I hope you all are ready for an incredibly long finale next week. I mean, 3 hours. So are they gonna do a 2-hour live episode where they're cutting back and forth, and then an hour of after the final rose, or are they just gonna throw it all together?
I'm not sure. We've also got the Bachelor announcement too. So.
Oh boy. And we'll see who that is. Hopefully the rumors are true that it is not Nate.
I don't think it's Nate.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed. Too much controversy, I guess. Too much. And as we all know, everything he does is to protect his daughter, so he had to make a choice.
Or the choice was made for him.
Yeah, well, at least he got an all-expenses-paid trip to Disney out of it. It's not too shabby of a consolation prize. Not too shabby. Well, we will see you next week for the finale, and we will see you tomorrow for another episode of Married at First Sight.